Hi everybody, we're going to start talking about combining like terms soon. So before we do that, we need to know what a term is. So here we go. A term is made up of one or more numbers and or variables being multiplied together. Each number or variable may also be raised to a power. Raising something to a power means putting an exponent over it, which literally means repeated multiplication if you see an exponent. So let's look at some examples of terms. We have a very simple term here, 8. So it can be as simple as that. 8 would be a term. We could also have 6x, which means 6 times x, or negative 10z squared. So there's that exponent there. Z squared, by the way, I was saying before that exponents mean that we're multiplying something repeatedly. So z squared means z times z. So this is just a quick way of writing z times z. So anyway, that whole thing would be a term, negative 10z squared. Or we have another term, negative 49.8x to the 63rd. You can see where exponents come in handy, because x to the 63rd means x times x times x times x times x 63 times. You don't actually want to write it out 63 times, so the exponents make it a lot easier to write that. Or we have, so you can, oh, and by the way, all of these things are getting multiplied together. So this negative 49.8 is getting multiplied with these 63 x's. But it's still all just one term. And here we have another term, so it doesn't matter if there's a fraction in front, or it could be a decimal, or it could be a negative number, or it could be a positive number. Okay, all of that is okay, and we could even have more than one variables in a term. So you can see here we have 8/15, x to the 3rd, n to the 10th, r to the 5th. So we have 3 variables there, x, n, and r. It doesn't matter how many you have. You could have 0. It still counts as a term, like the first one here, 8. And the last example of a term that I have here is y to the 7th. Okay? So the next thing that I'll say is the leading number in a term is called the coefficient. If you don't see a coefficient, it's 1. So the coefficient here, it's kind of trivial, would just be 8. The coefficient for this term would be 6. The coefficient here would be negative 10. Here the coefficient is negative 49.8. So it's very easy. It's just the number that you see in front. Here the coefficient is 8/15. Again, it doesn't matter if it's a fraction or a decimal or whatever. Here we don't see a coefficient written. If you don't see it written, then that means, I like to call it invisible. It's there even though we don't see it. And the coefficient here would be 1. Okay, so that would be 1 times y to the 7th. Just like this is 8/15 times x to the 3rd, n to the 10th, r to the 5th. Okay, so just remember y to the 7th is the exact same thing as 1y to the 7th. Or x is the same thing as 1x. I didn't say it's the same thing as 1. But if I have an x and there's no coefficient in front of it, it's the same thing as 1x. All right? So moving right along. Here's the last thing we'll say. In an expression, terms are separated by addition or subtraction symbols. So let's just take these terms that we have here, and let's just throw some addition and subtraction symbols in there. So I just threw them in there randomly. I didn't really pay much attention to if I wanted to put a minus sign first or a plus sign first. I just threw some plus and minus signs in there. Okay, so these addition and subtraction symbols are what separate the terms, right? In an expression. This whole thing would be called an expression. So I still have the same terms in here, they're just separated by the addition and subtraction. So I have 8 minus 6x plus negative 10z squared minus negative 49.8x to the 3rd plus 8/15 x to the 3rd, n to the 10th, r to the 5th minus y to the 7th. So I just separated all of my terms with addition or subtraction. Okay? That's it. Have a great day.